في زمن التداول الإلكتروني والعملات الرقمية، استطاعت هي أن تكون رقماً صعباً في مجالات العملات الرقمية والتكنولوجيا المالية من خلال تأسيسها لمنصة BitOasis، والتي أصبحت أول منصة أصول رقمية إقليمية في دولة الإمارات. رحبوا معي بعلا دودن.
My name is Ola Doudin. I'm co-founder and CEO of BitOasis. We're the largest and right now I think the first digital asset exchange that started in the region and focused on the GCC market widely and other parts of Middle East and North Africa. At BitOasis, we're focused on building the on-ramps and the off-ramps to crypto assets and public blockchains. So we are an exchange, a wallet, and an API platform that allows people to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you, with the esteemed audience and the crowd. And thank you for inviting me to be a speaker at Zayed Talks. Especially thanks for Dr. Khalid for his speech. And I was always taking notes and making sure there's some ideas that I have to reflect on as an entrepreneur, as a founder in my journey. Similarly, other speakers that were on the stage this morning, Jessica, Omar, and others as well. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I do want to note, even though I am on the stage here as a founder that has built a multi-million-dollar company, I don't believe that I made it yet. And for any person here in the crowd, if they actually start their own business and they also go on in their journey and at some point they share their story with others, I want to tell you that your journey is a number of stations that you will arrive to where you achieve certain milestones. But the ambition continues to grow much bigger. The passion continues to be much bigger and the target much larger and larger. I believe I'm probably at station 2 or 3 of a journey of hundreds of stations. And I think this is what makes it very exciting for me as an entrepreneur. And I'd love to share my story with you. My name is Ola Doudin. I'm CEO and co-founder of BitOasis. We're the region's leading crypto asset platform where we allow people to easily buy, sell, and use crypto assets. Today, we're the largest in the region. We're also the first to establish, and we're headquartered here in the UAE. We were the first platform that partnered up and was a registered entity under the Financial Intelligence Unit, under the Central Bank of the UAE. And very recently, we've gotten our approvals under the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority in Dubai. And today, we have over hundreds employees, predominantly in the UAE and across the Gulf. We have served over 600,000 customers across the region, and we've traded over $5 billion. And I'll talk more about all the different achievements that we were able to do over the last few years. But most importantly, and the story I'd like to share today, is the story of how a startup that started back in 2016 was able to partner up with the government, and the government acted as an enabler, not just for us as a fintech and a crypto company, but for the wider space here in the UAE, where through that enablement, we were able to grow, prosper, and nurture talent and partner up with regulators and open up this industry. First of all, I'd like to share the story of myself. I'm originally from Amman, Jordan, where I was born and raised. I always had a passion for technology and sciences, and I later on moved to the UK, where I majored in electronic engineering in University of Birmingham. Later on, I became a researcher in Imperial College London in their geomatics engineering department. I was very determined to finish my PhD, but later on, I pivoted to work in the technology industry, where I've taken a role at Ernst & Young in London London in their IT advisory and security service line. And my passion in technology started at that point, and I also became a programmer while I was programming in my free time as well. I moved back to the region around 2012 or 2013. I wanted to be part of a space that is very dynamic, in a city that is cosmopolitan, but also in the Middle East. So I chose to move to Dubai from Amman. That was 7 years ago. And today I consider the UAE as my home, a place that, as a resident, gave me a lot of opportunities to grow. It's given me a space to innovate as an entrepreneur and as a woman, and at the same time has given me a lot of support and resources throughout my journey at BitOasis. Throughout my story, I'd also like to talk about how I started BitOasis and all the amazing talent that we have as part of the company. Today, as a company, we've raised over $35 million from venture capital investors, some of it tier one international investors and some investors here in the region. But most importantly, and through sharing my story of how I founded BitOasis, in its essence, it's part of a bigger story. And the story is how the UAE is becoming a fast-growing tech hub here in the region, but also globally, where the UAE is able to nurture talent, is able to nurture the passion of entrepreneurs, and being able to incubate those companies, grow them into scaling companies, and also be home for the biggest unicorns in the region as well. And throughout, I hope I share some inspiration and motivation for some of the people who are starting their businesses or thinking to start their businesses. In 2014 or 2015, I was working very closely with Fadi Ghandour, who's one of the leading entrepreneurs here in the region. He's a cornerstone of the entrepreneurship ecosystem. RMX is a publicly listed company in DFM as well. And through working with Fadi, I was able to introduce myself into the entrepreneurship space. Around the same time, I got interested in Bitcoin, which today we call crypto or Web3. I think there are different namings to it right now. And when I was researching the internet for new technologies, as I was programming in my free time, I stumbled upon a post on a forum on the internet that was talking about this crazy global currency that is going to take over the world and the world's central banks. I dismissed that rhetoric at the time. I thought that idea was super crazy. But at the same time, there's a bit of curiosity in me that thought that, well, whether it would be an alternative to currencies that we know today, or it would become this transformational global payment system that allows for value transfer cross-border and disrupt financial services. If it falls at any place across the spectrum, I want to be part of that space. And I remember in 2015, I was researching who's building in crypto in the region, who's part of this space, which companies are doing work in that space. I found none. So I decided with a couple of friends that were interested in the crypto at the time to start meetup groups. So we started a meetup group in Amman, in Beirut, in Dubai as well. Later on, some of those people that were attending the meetup group started some in Riyadh and some in Doha. And through that, I was able, with my friends, to cultivate a community where I also met my two co-founders as well. And at the time, we weren't really determined to start a company, but what we wanted to do is build our knowledge further in the blockchain and the crypto space. So we started with building somewhat of a small project. It was a wallet where through that, we were trying to better understand how we can build with this technology. Later on, that wallet became a platform where close to hundreds few people were buying and selling crypto. Later on, we worked with our lawyers to understand how we can ultimately regulate this. That platform became a trading platform where today we're the region's largest buy and sell platform for crypto. So we've got over 600,000 customers that we served across the region. We're live in 7 countries. Most of our activity is in the GCC and here in the UAE. We've raised tens of millions of dollars that enabled us to attract the best talent here in the region and from outside the region moving into the UAE. We've traded over $5 billion, and we've got over 100 people, the majority of which are actually programmers, technologists, and product people that are working on R&D to help us grow more products further and further. And this is one stop and few milestones that we achieved. We are determined to build the first crypto unicorn out of the region. We are determined to build a great company out of the UAE that expands regionally and globally as well, and compete with other global companies in this technology, in this nascent space, and set an example of other companies as well and what they're able to achieve. One thing I do want to point out that even though it's unique what we're building in BitOasis, our story as a UAE company coming out of the region here is following the footstep of so many other great companies that considered UAE their home. They were incubated in this country, and they've built amazing companies, and among the biggest exits out of the UAE, out of the region as well. So I'll share with you a few stories that I personally, as an entrepreneur, draw inspiration from. And similarly, other entrepreneurs building here in the UAE draw inspiration from. So a few of those examples is Souq.com, which was actually among the first companies at a time building an e-commerce where this industry was still in its nascency, and even electronic payment systems didn't really exist in the abundant way that it exists today. Souq.com employed over 3,000 people at the time that it was acquired. It had over 18 million unique visits and visitors buying e-commerce. It introduced e-commerce into the region, and overall it raised over $500 million in investments. Souq.com later on was acquired by Amazon. It was Amazon's entry into the region, but that was a monumental event because it really solidified and matured e-commerce into the industry and payments, where later on Noon became also the largest platform in the region, Noon Pay, and it really established and institutionalized digital payments, digital e-commerce in the way that it is right now in the region. Second is Careem, which is really a role model and example of a successful world-class company coming out of the UAE that also became the first unicorn in the region. And today, until this moment, is the biggest exit that actually happened or happened in the region out of the UAE as well. Careem, as some of you are aware, served over 6 million users. It had created over 150,000 opportunities, employment opportunities for riders across the region as well. And it was live in 13 countries, employed also thousands of employees across the region, mostly here in the UAE, and it also raised hundreds of millions of dollars. So Careem was later acquired by Uber. It was Uber's entry into the world, into the UAE, and that was an exit of over $3 billion. That was a huge moment for any entrepreneur building in the region, any investor investing in the tech ecosystem here, but it also put UAE on the world map. It's a country that is able to nurture, incubate, and scale world-class companies that are in billions of dollars of valuation. When Careem exited, it minted hundreds of other angel investors that were able to exit and were employees of Careem that was through the exit obviously able to continue their journey and invest in similar entrepreneurs. And some have started companies, and later on some were able to also mentor other entrepreneurs in their first time starting a company. So it's that ripple effect of innovation, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurs, where it starts with either one person or a group of people that partner up together, but it has a huge ripple effect in not only creating economic value, but also changing the mindsets of entrepreneurs and showing them what is possible. Today, there are 100 other companies like Souk, like Kareem, like Noon, Talabat, etc., across the region that are day in and day out showing up to work, leading their companies, that are creating huge value either in terms of employment opportunities or innovation in their own space, and are also creating impact in their own communities as well. Some of those examples are across the UAE, Kitobi, Tabi, and Rami, that was also one of the publicly listed companies going on NASDAQ. I think that was in 2020 from Abu Dhabi. And there are numerous other examples of great entrepreneurs. I can't sort of do it justice mentioning few names here, but there are remarkable entrepreneurs throughout the UAE building great companies that are great role models for other future entrepreneurs as well. All of that was not possible if those entrepreneurs weren't able from day one to partner up with the government to be able to enable them to continue growing and innovating, and at the same time, while growing and innovating, open up new sectors where there's more innovation and more economic opportunity that is able to grow. So to give you an example, Kareem, which is a ride-hailing app, it's a ride-hailing company where you can book your ride on the app, and it really transformed or disrupted transportation and how we think about public transportation as individuals. Kareem existed before there was proper regulation for ride-hailing and transportation overall here in the UAE, but they were embraced by the government. Later on, they were able to partner up with RTA. Later on, the government has introduced proper regulation for ride-hailing to open up this industry and to enable Kareem as a company to realize that value, to be able to grow, to create more opportunities, and other entrepreneurs that are part of the sector to be able to create economic and innovation value out of that industry. That was at a time where other ride-hailing companies in other places were either cracked down onto, or the taxi industry was lobbying against them or against that innovation, and similar companies weren't able to grow in those other parts of the world. And I think this is a remarkable story where the government was enabling that innovation, that ecosystem, where the government was taking similar risk and calculated strategy and risk to enable innovation at a time where other governments were shying away. What I'd like to close with is, when we talk about entrepreneurship and we talk about innovation, often people say, yes, it's the job of the entrepreneurs, it's the job of the private sector. But however, it cannot really happen if it, as a mindset, entrepreneurship and innovation doesn't start from the government. The role of the government is not just obviously policy making, it's having the right mindset with the policy making that enables entrepreneurs to grow and create. And with that, actually, as part of the UAE 50 agenda, there's a big focus on entrepreneurs and enabling entrepreneurs and 10 new unicorns to come out of the UAE. And with that, by 2031, establish the UAE as a global entrepreneurial nation. This is a goal that is very inspirational for me as a founder and as an entrepreneur. We at BitOasis aim to be one of those 10 unicorns that in the next few decades will be coming out of the UAE. And it's, as a founder and as an entrepreneur, something that we feel very proud of to be a partner with the government on. Now, I'll just share with you a few words as a closing remark. As a female entrepreneur among, I think there was like 5% female entrepreneurs that are part of the crypto space. I'm very proud to call the UAE home, home for BitOasis, a home that was enabling us to get our industry regulated and at the same time empower the work that we do. And it's a great story for me to be a partner of the government and the regulators that we work with day in and day out. It was a trust that was given to us, and ultimately we've also reciprocated it. We are at the beginning of our journey, and we're very excited for the challenge that we will be pursuing ahead. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ola Doudin, for your amazing presentation.